Hey, what's up everyone? So Apple finally had their September event where they announced the iPhone 14. I know this video is late. Don't ask me why. But it's here now. Anyways, but should you actually buy the iPhone 14? Well, that's what I'm kind of going to talk about here. So the iPhone 14 is pretty much exactly like the 13. There's very little upgrade. There's two new colors, purple and blue, both fairly light colors, but I think they do look pretty good. There's no longer a mini size this year. Instead, there is a plus size, which is a 6.7-inch version of the regular 6.1-inch iPhone 14. So yeah, there's no longer that littler one, which yeah, the mini didn't sell that great, and I think there's a lot of people out there that want the bigger size, but they don't want to have to pay for the Pro Max to get the big size. So now you can get the big size without having to pay so much for all the Pro features as well. And the other thing then is that the iPhone 14 Plus has probably really good battery life, because they can put just a physically larger battery in there because it's a bigger phone, like they have on the Pro Max for a couple years now. But they no longer have all the Pro features that will take up as much battery. So the battery life on the Plus will probably be really good. But yeah, we'll just have to see exactly on that. But they claim it's the best battery life in any iPhone. The camera's got a little upgrade. There's larger sensors and better night mode. And they did get a new selfie camera with a faster aperture and finally autofocus. So yeah, dramatic improvement actually to the selfie camera. And there's these updates kind of to Deep Fusion, but now they're calling it the Photonic Engine. I don't understand it all. Basically just better compression and processing for pictures. And they have this action mode that I guess we don't know a whole lot about, but it basically makes it look like you have a gimbal without actually having to use a gimbal. I assume it's something with using the ultra wide as well. We don't know exactly. I wouldn't be surprised, maybe you can shoot in 4K and stuff with it, but we'll just have to wait and see for sure. And now there's no SIM tray in the iPhone 14 at all, at least in the US. I don't know exactly how that is in other countries, but they said specifically in the US there's no longer SIM tray. It's all eSIM, so I guess whatever, big deal. I don't think it's a huge deal. It's probably a little more safe and secure, and maybe a little more towards the future. I wouldn't be surprised if soon it's pretty much just all eSIMs. There's this new feature called crash detection, which the Apple Watch Series 8 also got. Basically, using an upgraded gyroscope and accelerometer, it can kind of detect if you're in a car crash and call 911 or emergency contacts or something if you want, which is a pretty cool feature that hopefully none of us ever have to use. But then they did finally get satellite connectivity, sort of. It's only for SOS, pretty much, but if you're in an area with no service, basically you have to actually point your phone towards the satellite. They had to develop new antennas and stuff, because now most satellite phones have like a big bulky physical antenna sticking out, because the frequency and the bandwidth and stuff from the satellites is so low, and the satellites are so far away and everything. But yeah, so it'll actually show you where to point your iPhone. Who knows how they know that? Anyways, but yeah, you can send a quick message, and they have different stuff set up, so it can just like ask you a series of questions, so that you can get first responders out. It is launching in November in the US and Canada anyways, and if you buy an iPhone 14, you'll get it for free for 2 years. And so again, this is a pretty cool feature that hopefully none of us have to use, but it's really nice to have it there. And actually, one other thing is, even if you're not in an emergency, but if you're in an area with no service, you can still actually use your satellite connectivity to manually update your location on Find My for your friends and family, which is just a pretty nice feature, I think. Yeah, other than that, not many changes. The price for the regular 14 is actually the same as the regular 13 at $799, and the 14 Plus is $899, which is, I think, good pricing. Some people were hoping that the regular 14 would actually go down in price since we don't have the mini to be starting off, but Apple still is selling the iPhone 13 for $699, and honestly, my not so expert opinion is that for just a regular person who wants a phone to scroll through TikTok and text their friends and whatever, just get the 13. It's going to do the exact same thing pretty much. And it's $100 cheaper. Another big one, the iPhone 14. So there's actually some pretty nice colors this time around. Instead of graphite, we get space black, which is actually like a nice deep black for once. It's been a while since we had a solid black iPhone Pro. Then we get the good old silver with white back that I think is a pretty solid color option, and the gold. And then we also have the new deep purple, which looks a lot like that video that was leaked a couple weeks ago, right before the event. That, yeah, I guess turns out that was right. I think it looks pretty good. One of the most important changes to the iPhone 14 is that there's no longer a notch. For the first time since 2017, instead there's a pill-shaped cutout pretty much, but they're calling it the dynamic island. Apple somehow took the notch and turned it into a feature. Don't ask me how or what for geniuses came up with this, but apparently it's the same people that came up with Stage Manager. Not making a whole lot of sense. Anyways, but dynamic island is really cool. So I'm not actually sure what the physical cutouts in the display look like, but I'm assuming it's what was leaked with the one hole and then one smaller pill shaped. But using the phone, it's always just going to look like one bigger pill shape that can actually change and morph into your different alerts and stuff. And if you have music playing, it can show that at the top. And maps, it can show you different stuff up there. It's really, really cool. And they actually have the digitizer layer over the whole thing, so you can tap on it so it can kind of blow up to show you the different things. Even live activities can actually show up there, which is really cool. So if you're watching a game or something, not actually watching it but keeping track of it, you can have it right on your lock screen now all the time, and you open up your phone, no matter where you are, you can still see that right at the top. It's incredible. I don't know how they came up with this, but it's absolutely genius. Honestly, yeah, it's amazing, and the animations and stuff for it look really cool, and honestly, I can't wait to actually see it. The display in general also has been updated. It's like super bright now. There are thinner bezels. And for the first time, now that Android has had it for years and years and years, we get the always on display. That looks pretty cool because the display can go down to 1 Hz now. Basically, all it does is actually just dims the wallpaper pretty dark, so you can still see your notifications, or at least your widgets and live activities and stuff. I don't know if you can actually see your notifications or not. But yeah, definitely your other stuff in the time. And I think, yeah, that's really cool. It's something that Apple should have done a long time ago, but I guess they didn't just for battery. But now that they can go down to 1 Hz, they definitely can. Now, the new chip, the A16, that is actually only in the Pros. It's not in the regular 14. So actually, real quick, last year, the iPhone 13 and 13 Pro didn't actually have the same chip. The 13 Pro, it was still just called the A15 Bionic, but it had an extra GPU core or something in it. That only the Pros had. So now that 13 Pro chip is actually the one in the regular iPhone 14s now. Some people think this is a big deal. Oh no, Apple doesn't have the new processor in it. Honestly, no. It's fine. Okay, other companies have done this for years and years, and like pretty much anybody that is getting the regular 14s is not going to know the difference, is not going to care. It's going to do exactly what they want. And so, yeah, the 14s though do get the A16 that's finally built on the 4nm process, so it's just a lot faster and more efficient kind of. There's a separate display engine in it for the new display, so it allows it to go down to 1 Hz, so that's pretty cool. And yeah, that chip, again, just a little upgrade, kind of like every year, just a little faster. But probably the other really big update for the iPhone 14 Pro is its cameras, because it finally gets a 48 megapixel main sensor that's also really big. All the sensors are really big and have improvements in low light performance. But that main camera, even though it is a 48 megapixel sensor, that would create huge file sizes for the pictures and videos and stuff. So what it's actually doing instead is just taking groups of 4 pixels and basically putting it into one. So your photos coming out will still be 12 megapixels in size, but it's still going to look a lot better. And using ProRAW, you actually can get the raw 48 megapixel photo. And so, yeah, that's honestly really cool. And you'll notice that there's 3 lenses on the back, but if you get an iPhone 14 and go into the camera app, you'll notice 3 different zoom settings. A 0.5, zoom, which is obviously the ultra wide, then the 1x, which is just your main camera, and then you have your 3x zoom, which is the telephoto, but then you have a new 2x zoom. And actually what it's doing is a pretty cool new trick where it's using the main sensor, but it's just using those center pixels in it, so you still get 12 megapixel picture. So it's basically still full resolution, but zoomed in 2x, and it's really cool. It's honestly a pretty nice feature, so you can zoom into 2x and have a really good picture still without having to go to your telephoto, because if you have an iPhone, if you have the 13 Pro and you try to zoom in 2x or something like that, it's using the main sensor and just cropping it, so you get lower resolution. It doesn't look as good until you hit 3x, because then it can switch to the telephoto. And of course, it also did get the new selfie camera with autofocus and everything, so that's cool. But yeah, pretty good improvements to the cameras this year. Honestly, really excited to see what they can do. Also, the ultra wide is updated to be able to do better with macro mode, which is actually a really cool feature that I actually really like. And cinematic mode has been updated so that you can shoot at 4K at 30 or 24 frames per second. Some other general improvements to that. And while some people were saying that the iPhone 14 might see a jump in price, that's not true. The price is the same as before. The iPhone 14 Pro is $999 and the Pro Max is $1099, just like before, which is really nice. But apparently that's only in the US or something. I don't know. I know in different countries prices can vary, and I think in a lot of other countries there have been jumps in price. But yeah, I don't really know. So now, which one should you buy? Honestly, you probably shouldn't buy the regular iPhone 14 because Apple is still selling the regular 13, which, like I said, is almost exactly the same, for $100 less. And for the people that are just buying the base model anyways, you might as well just get the 13. It's gonna last you just as well. Maybe one less year of software support, but probably not even. I mean, still, it's gonna last like 5 years. So honestly, yeah. Now, if you want the bigger size, but you don't want or need all the pro features and don't want to pay $1,100 for a phone, then yeah, the 14 Plus is a really good option, and I honestly think that might be the best selling of the whole new iPhone 14 series. Because I think the Pro Max has always been really popular because so many people like the bigger size, that you can get that bigger size without the pro features and stuff. I think it's going to sell really, really well, but we'll have to see on that. And then yeah, the rest is kind of like before. If you want those pro features, the better cameras, or you just want the best phone you can get, then yeah, get the Pro. And if you like the bigger size, get the Pro Max. Personally, I had an 11 Pro Max for a while, and I didn't really like the big size. It's really nice for watching stuff and whatever, playing games, but I don't know, just for me, carrying it around all the time, it was just a little big. I think the 6.1 inch is pretty much the best size for me, but that's 100% personal preference, and that's subjective, and some people like the bigger phone, some people like even littler than that. But yeah, that's about all I have. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all later.